Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Brittany from the College Greenlight team. We are so happy that you're joining our second presentation on day 2 of the Online College Block Party, a web series that celebrates first-gen college and underrepresented students on their journey to and through college. I hope you all have found the previous presentation with University of Pittsburgh informative, insightful, illuminating. And just in case you are just joining us now and you missed the previous presentations yesterday, with Rowan University, as well as our wonderful Occidental College, you all will be able to access the replay. And so in the upper left-hand corner, you can click schedule to watch all of those recordings. But also keep an eye out on the email that we'll be sending out shortly within 24 hours, where you will receive the PowerPoint presentations as well as the recordings. So before we get started, here are some tips to get the most out of College Block Party. Use the live chat feature to the right and chat with others in the room. And feel free to introduce yourself. And if you have any questions, use the Ask a Question tool below. Note there are no right or wrong questions, but if you can try and avoid asking some questions about your GPA, your test scores, or admission chances, that would be helpful because our colleges can't provide you with the best answer without seeing your full application, right? So if you all are curious about your admissions chances and want to learn a little bit more about the colleges who are presenting today, visit capex.com/greenlight-student to explore over 3,000 college profiles and learn more about our CapEx insights. And last but not least, show us some love. Go ahead and join the conversation on all of the social medias and hashtag Online College Block Party. All right, team, enough with me. We're going to go ahead and get started with Embry-Riddle. We have lots in store for you all. So we are thrilled to invite Director of Admissions, Sarah Bofferding, and Megan Sporrell with Embry-Riddle Admissions. And we're going to bring in some students, some current college students at Embry-Riddle, Mariah Lewis and Michael Blackwell. And last but not least, Ludine Lewis is answering your questions throughout the presentation, so make sure to enter them in the Ask a Question feature below. All right, team, it is time. Welcome to the stage.
All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to do a quick round of introductions just so you can get to know a little bit more. My name is Sarah Bofferding. I'm the Director of Admissions at the Prescott, Arizona campus of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I have had the privilege of working at Embry-Riddle for almost 13 years. Prior to that, I spent a few years working for an airline because I got my undergraduate degree from Embry-Riddle. I studied aviation safety and security with minors in psychology and communications. So we've got a great presentation today so you can learn more about aviation and aerospace careers. And with that, I will let Megan introduce herself.
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Megan Sporrell. I'm the Director of Admissions for the Daytona Beach campus. I do have both my degrees from Embry-Riddle, so Sarah and I are definitely both proud alumna. I've been with Embry-Riddle for 3 years. After I graduated, I did have a short stint in motorsports in their marketing side, so definitely a little bit different. And I will go ahead and pass it off to Mariah.
My name is Mariah, and I am a current senior at the Prescott campus of Embry-Riddle. I'm studying aerospace engineering with a specialization in astronautics. And yeah, I'm just in a couple clubs here on campus and just trying to stay involved. And I'll give the time over to Michael to introduce himself.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Michael. I'm also a senior aerospace engineer. However, I'm my concentration is in aeronautics, and even further than that. My additional concentration is in aerodynamics. And then a couple extracurriculars that I partake in on campus. I'm a president of one of our fraternities we have on campus, and I also have 2 other positions with our national fraternity on 2 other advisory boards. Thank you.
All right, so now that you know who we are, don't forget to ask your questions in the Ask a Question portion of the platform that we're utilizing today. And then also keep an eye out. We've got some polls. So just some cool aviation, aerospace industry specific facts. Feel free to take those throughout the presentation. Just kind of some fun little trivia questions per se. See if you can get the right answer about some of these career fields that we're going to talk about. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So careers that take off, exploring aviation and aerospace outcomes with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Now, something, for those of you that aren't aware, that's our specialty. I mean, aeronautical is in our name. So we're very familiar with this. And we wanted to spend some time just talking about what a great industry it is right now in aviation, aerospace, and even touching a little bit on security and intelligence as well. But we're really excited about this because all of the degree programs that we happen to offer at our institution lead into career paths with these high demand niches and industries. Now with the outcomes, so what does the aviation aerospace industry look like right now? For all of you prospective students considering a career path, being a pilot, being an engineer, going into space, maybe being an astronaut is your dream. You literally could not have picked a better time to be born. Not that any of you had anything to do with it, but just saying now is such a great time to come into this field because it's a relatively older demographic of an industry. Lots of, how do I say this nicely? I'll just say older demographic. That's probably the best way to approach this. But lots of former military, having that experience, going into it, and then working and kind of getting themselves established as pilots, as engineers, as space physicists, all that type of stuff. Well, what's happening is there's especially on the pilot side of things, there's a forced retirement. So a little bit of background about why the industry is having all these retirements is, in addition to it being an older demographic, the FAA requires that pilots retire at age 65. About a couple years ago, actually more than a couple of years ago. So the retirement age used to be 60, and then the FAA extended it to 65. So all that large group of pilots they got 5 more years. Well, now they're hitting that retirement age. And because of that, we're seeing a huge need for pilots in the industry. Now, many of you have probably heard of the Boeing company. Boeing builds airplanes. They're one of the big names in aviation aerospace, and they actually do a report every year, and it's called the pilot forecast. So they kind of take into account how much aviation is utilized for personal travel, for cargo travel, for different industries across the globe. And they come up with this calculation of how many pilots they anticipate the world needing globally. So when we started talking about this in our presentation that we typically tell students about, it was about 500,000 pilots by the year 2030. Well, every year that number gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the study that they most recently did said that by the year 2036, they're anticipating the need for over 800,000 new pilots. That's crazy. That's so many pilots right now. But like I said, when I started off this slide, that's such a great opportunity for young people like yourselves or young people that you might know coming into this career path because the demand is right there. Now, if we continue to need so many pilots, right, we have to put them in the airplanes. Well, we're going to need the maintenance techs to maintain the aircraft. And we're also seeing high demand opportunities in that, as well as all across the board in aviation, aerospace. So business, there's always the business side, specifically in regards to aviation, aerospace companies. You know, who's going to run the airline? Who's going to run NASA per se? Who's going to work on those side of things? And then engineers. If we're anticipating 800,000 new pilots within the next 16 years or so, we're probably going to anticipate more aircraft. So those are going to need to be built. They're going to need to be designed. Maybe they need to have an efficiency improvement amongst them. So all of these industries, all of these specific career paths that you see right here on our slide, all contribute back and go into that high demand field. Now, with the need for airline travel with pilots, specifically, and then I mentioned space travel. As space travel starts to become a reality for us, back in the day when I was a kid, the Jetsons was one of my favorite shows, but I never ever thought that would be remotely possible, but we're seeing space exploration be a legitimate thing where we're talking about having recreational almost opportunities to travel into space. But whenever you get that element of putting people into play, that's where human factors is going to come in. That's where safety is going to come in. We have to keep ourselves, our fellow humanity safe if we're going to put them in airlines, in aircraft, in spacecraft, if we're going to go into this field. So again, high demand career fields with lots of great opportunities to pursue some of these different realms. And Embry-Riddle does have the opportunity, the specific educational opportunities to lead to that. Now, though we're primarily focused on aviation and aerospace, we do want to talk a little bit about cybersecurity, because we're seeing, and intelligence in general, we're seeing a big demand in this career path, both in the private sector and the public sector. So when people think of cybersecurity or just global security, they tend to think about the FBI or the CIA. Well, not everybody's going to have the opportunity to be an FBI or CIA agent, but that's where the public sector comes into play. We are seeing such a high demand career path amongst these programs as well. There's a fantastic website called cyberseek.org. And if you're curious, if you think cybersecurity might be something cool to look into, I would recommend checking out cyberseek.org, because what it does is it will give you a map of all the different cybersecurity positions, job positions available in the United States. And if you happen to look, I know because I looked yesterday, there's over 500,000 cybersecurity jobs in the United States alone. And this kind of ties back to the big need that I was talking about with aviation, aerospace specifically. It's an up and coming field. Everybody is on their computer nowadays. Everybody's glued to their cell phone. Look at us right now. We're all in a webinar per se. But as we become a society that's more reliant on technology, we're going to see the need for these measures to come into play. So tons of great career opportunities amongst airlines and aviation-based companies. Some of the big ones, Boeing, Cessna, Honeywell, Lockheed Martin, with security and intel still in our industry or even outside of our industry. We've had we've seen students go to work for Wells Fargo Bank doing anti-money laundering. We have had students with opportunities to go work for a non-aviation aerospace company doing security and intel. So a ton of great opportunities with these career paths out there. Now, with this slide specifically, I want to take the opportunity to bring our students up so they can chat with us a little bit. Michael has had the opportunity to do an internship while being a student at our institution. And as Michael said, he's an aerospace engineering student. So Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did on your internship and some of how you got your internship maybe, and then what you did on it.
Yeah, sure. So I actually did my internship with NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenville, Maryland. I was a software engineer for their GOES-R weather satellite, and then I also did a couple of things for the Landsat and the GOES-S, which is the new weather satellite that will be probably launched next year. But I pretty much got my internship through a lot of different connections through the school, and then it also helps that I had a sibling who also worked as a contractor for NASA as well. My main job, I had a couple of different jobs that kind of just threw me around the entire NASA base. But my main job was for the mission assurance team. Their whole auditing process, it could take, depending on how big the facility is and how much we have to audit, it could take anywhere between 6 to 8 hours. And basically what I did as a software engineer for them, I pretty much automated their entire process and cut that time down to about 1 or 2 hours. Basically, the code was they scan a barcode, and I'll have a list of all the different barcodes already in stock. And once I scan it, it'll mark that off the list, and you just keep going, keep going. And then another one of my projects was more geared towards the weather satellite. I basically created a GUI, or a graphical user interface. It was just like a little cell phone app, and it pretty much, you got information from the weather satellite, and it's depending on how you get the information from the satellite, it's kind of weird. But we do get the information from we call it the SOZ, the satellite operating zone, and it's transmitted down to the PPZ, or the payment processing zone, in what we call strings, which is just strings of code. And then at another satellite operating facility, we call it INSOF. There we have people who are actually, organizing and decoding all the code that comes from the weather satellite, and pretty much displays them in what we call different products that the weather satellite has. And there's a lot of different products that the satellite does. It can map the clouds, it can map heat, it can map lightning, different things like that. So basically what my kind of app did was, you can pick which region in the US you want, which country, which state, which city even, and then you can also pick which product from the satellite you want to see. So if I want to see the lightning mapper in Prescott, Arizona right now, even though the sky's pretty clear right now, you'd be able to, it'll pop up on the screen, and it'll show you kind of, it's not a real time, it's more like a 2-minute lag, just because everybody does have to decode that and finish and push it through the source. But that was also pretty much one of my main projects. I was a team of one. So I had about 5,000 lines of code that I had to go through and write, and also debug myself. So that definitely kept me busy throughout my internship. And if anybody has any more questions at the end of it during the Q&A, I'll be happy to answer questions. And then also keep in mind that once you're a freshman at Embry-Riddle, you do have the opportunity to distinguish yourself with all these other companies, like JetBlue, Boeing is a really big one, Raytheon. A lot of these companies I'm also in talks with for a job as well. So yeah, feel free to give me any questions or comments or anything you want to know at the end towards the Q&A.
Awesome, Michael. Thanks for telling us about that. And I also want to have Mariah hop on and tell us a little bit about her interest in the industry and what her kind of career goals are to come into the aviation aerospace industry.
Sorry, that took a second. I got lost. So my goals, so I decided when I was younger that I wanted to be an astronaut, and I have seen that some of you guys are talking about that. And then I thought it wasn't a real job, because who knows anyone who's an astronaut. But by the time I became a senior in high school, I decided that that was what I actually wanted to do. And I don't know how Embry-Riddle found me, but they did. And so I came in toward campus, but my goal is to be an astronaut. Not necessarily to go to Mars or anything. I actually just want to see Earth, not on Earth. I'd love to go to the moon. Mars only if I'm not going to be the first group, because I'm not ready to die on Mars, and I don't want to be stuck with only a few other people. So those are my requirements. So in order to become an astronaut right now, kind of like the most clear path is going on to get a master's degree, as well as having industry experience. So I'm planning on doing both of those things. I'm thinking about doing a master's in either biomedical engineering or in just medical in general, because I feel like that'll increase my chances of getting picked to be an astronaut. But I'm hoping, my favorite job option right now is to work at the Johnson Space Center in Houston to be a flight controller for the International Space Station. So those are kind of my goals right now for after graduation. And again, if you guys have any questions at the end as well, I'd be happy to answer them.
Those are fantastic goals, Mariah. I don't know that when I was your age, I didn't quite have such ambitious goals, but that's amazing. And what I love about what both Mariah and Michael talked about is they're so driven and they're so focused and they know what they want to do. In regards to being an astronaut, just as a fun fact, since we're talking about astronauts and there's some conversations going on in the chat, we have had 7 of our alumni go on to be astronauts at Embry-Riddle, either through our residential campuses or a combination of our residential campuses and our worldwide. So I'm glad that Mariah and Michael were able to hop on and share some great information. This slide right here it's just a sampling of some of the employers out there in the aviation and aerospace industry. Now, with our experience specifically at Embry-Riddle, we pretty much send our graduates out to, I feel pretty confident saying this, any major airline, any regional carrier, any aviation aerospace type company, we've got graduates out there. We do have over 137 alumni out there, which provides a really great networking opportunity for our students. But then, like I said, 7 NASA astronauts, and the former flight director at Mission Control in NASA used to be, well, he's no longer the chief flight director, but he was an Embry-Riddle alum as well. So tons of great opportunities in this industry specifically for our students. Please keep asking us questions, keep chatting as we continue on through the presentation. Now, a little bit more about Embry-Riddle, just so you can kind of get a sense of where we are, what we like to do. So we're going to share this video for you.
Awesome. So I don't think the sound worked on that video, so definitely make sure you copy that link and you can watch it after the presentation. With the music and everybody talking, it definitely makes a huge difference. That's kind of our hype video that we use to get you guys excited. So watch it after and get extra excited that you got to spend some time with us today. But next, we kind of wanted to transition to a little bit more information about Embry-Riddle. So we're very unique. We have 2 residential campuses, one in Florida, one in Arizona, and we also have our online worldwide campus. So it really just depends what major you're interested in studying for which campus it's offered at. And then if you are wanting to take our online classes, we do have the worldwide location where you could study anywhere. So next, I just want to talk a little bit more about our Arizona campus. So it is our smaller campus with about 3,000 students. Average class size is about 25. What's really great about Embry-Riddle is your professors really want to know who you are as a student, know your name, and get to know you through the process. So my first week of classes, I was actually a transfer student, but my professor made a point to come up to me and say like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, you're Megan, right?" So it's really nice to have that experience. And they are required to have office hours. So it's time that they're literally waiting in their office, waiting for you to come ask questions. They're there to help you succeed. They're really good mentors when it comes to getting a job and internship as well. We do have 200 clubs and organizations, fraternities and sororities. At our Prescott campus, we're NAIA for sports, and there's 10 intercollegiate sports, and there is Air Force and Army for ROTC. I wanted to invite Michael back quick to talk about his experience with life on campus and how he's been involved, and then Mariah will follow shortly after.
Thank you. Yeah, as I said before, I'm a president of one of the fraternities we have here on campus, and my fraternity definitely keeps me busy. We have a really good philanthropy, and we just raised about a little less than $1,500 just this last weekend for one of our fundraisers. So I definitely keep busy in my fraternity. I know I also I work out a lot. It helps relieve a lot of stress. Engineering is definitely a tough major, so exercising definitely helps a lot. And Prescott is definitely a really outdoorsy place. There's a lot of mountains you can go hiking, camping, a lot of kayaking too. And then also I'm involved in a lot of different testing on campus as well. And then of course I work in the admissions office too, so I have that job too.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. And hopefully Mariah can join us. There she is.
Yeah, so I'm here on the Prescott campus as well. I'm in quite a few clubs. Both campuses have over 200 clubs and organizations, so there's always something to do. Even if it's like late at night, there's probably some club activity happening or friends that you can meet up with from those clubs. But a couple that I'm in are Women in Aviation and Society of Women Engineers. And those are both great networking clubs for women in the STEM field. But I'm also in Black Student Alliance and National Society of Black Engineers, which are also great. Black Student Alliance is more for fun. And then the NSBE is definitely more for networking and things like that. There's lots of conferences to go to just to help get jobs and internships, which is always useful. But as far as being out here in Prescott, it has pretty calm weather. We do get 4 seasons, but it never gets too cold. This year it got a little hot, but I think that's how it was every year or everywhere. But yeah, I love hiking or hammocking in the area. I go on lots of hikes all the time, whether it's at night or during the day. So I like to keep busy.
Awesome. Thank you. So as you can see, our students are very involved on campus. Mariah and Michael are definitely rock star students, but our students do like to kind of keep busy along with their academics. So next I'll transition to our Florida campus. At our Florida campus, obviously it's a little bit warmer all year round, but you get used to the heat. We have about 7,000 students. Average class size is about 27, so you still kind of see that small class environment. As Mariah talked about, there's over 200 student clubs and organizations. Also fraternities and sororities available. And then we are Division II with 200 athletic teams on campus. So I also mentioned we have our online worldwide campus. So that's by far our biggest campus. We have over 18,000 undergraduate students. Your average class size is about 20. And then, of course, it's very flexible because you're online. Your classes can be offered at different times. So really, it's meant to work with your schedule so you can take classes, whether you have kids or whether you have a full-time job. They definitely work with you to make sure that your classes work around your regular life. So just some more facts about us to get you excited about Embry-Riddle. We are ABET accredited. Our graduates yield among the highest return on investment. So even if you look at our sticker price, don't get scared by that. There's great benefits. As Michael talked about, he already had an awesome internship that sounds like it might lead into a full-time job. So that gets very exciting for our students. And Sarah also mentioned that we have a very strong alumni network of 137,000. We're also top ranked institution in Arizona and Florida for the highest level of education quality for affordability. So I know some of you got excited in the chat and already said that you want to apply. So we just wanted to give you a basic rundown of how you would apply to Embry-Riddle. Our application for spring 2021, fall 2021 and summer is currently open. So if you're a senior, this would be for you, or if you're currently at another institution wanting to transfer, our application is open. So the first thing to do would be to fill out our application. We have our own application right on our website. We're not on the Common App or Coalition app. We're a very unique institution, so we like to ask a few specific questions on our application just so we can get a better idea of who you are as a student. There is a $50 application fee, but because you attended this event today, we do have a fee waiver code listed, so it's DBPC that you can use and you can apply for free. And then from there, we will need your transcripts from your high school. And then optional is a letter of recommendation. We do suggest, although it is optional, that you do submit a letter of recommendation. We like to really figure out who you are as a student and what your teachers or your professors have to say about you. It gives us a better idea of who would potentially be coming to our institution. Also optional test scores. However, there's a little caveat to that. We are a test optional school, so if you're currently a senior and you haven't been able to take the ACTs or SATs because of COVID, absolutely not a problem. We can still accommodate you, but definitely take a look at your scores and see if those scores reflect who you are as a student. And if they do, we definitely suggest that you submit those with your application and transcript. Once we receive your application, transcript, and test scores, if you decide to submit them, we can go ahead and review your application. But if you feel like there's something else that you want to tell us, we definitely suggest an essay or a resume. If you're highly involved, definitely go ahead and submit a resume so we can see everything that you are involved in. So other ways to prepare to become an Embry-Riddle student. We do have an Aviation 101 course. It is a free course offered online. It is 9 video modules that will teach you more about the aviation industry, and they focus on different topics in each module. We also have a dual enrollment program. It's offered in 50 states, so most likely a lot of you can take advantage of that. It's a great way for you to get a head start on your college career and take some Embry-Riddle classes. We also suggest, if you have the option to take any IB, wow, tongue twister, credits, go ahead and do so. We do have guides on our website to tell you exactly what classes you would get credit for. You do have to take the AP or IB test with AP. Wow, it is 3 or better, but it will list everything out for you there. And if you have any questions at the end, we'll provide our contact information for you as well. Definitely challenge yourself. Take classes that you feel like would stand out. If you're looking more towards the engineering side, definitely make sure you take pre-calculus. If you're thinking more aviation or business, Algebra 2 would be the highest math class that we require. We definitely, for our engineers, if you have the option to take calculus, it will definitely help you in the long run along with physics. Get involved when you're in high school, do things that would make you stand out. Some of our students, we have a small section on our application about goals, accomplishments. Some are about this long, filled with text, so we definitely get a lot of things from our students. And then definitely start building your resume. As I mentioned, it is optional for us, but we want to see everything you're involved with. So as you're on a robotics team, in Eagle Scouts, start putting your resume together so you don't forget everything that you've done. We want to see it all. And lastly, we just wanted to go over financial aid very quickly because I know that is something that everybody kind of wants to hear about when they're talking about college. So over 90% of our students receive financial aid, whether it's through scholarships, grants, and loans. Once you're accepted with Embry-Riddle, we automatically review you for our merit aid, which is our institutional aid. We also accept the FAFSA for need-based aid, and we did include our code on there if you are going to go ahead and submit your application. And then external scholarships. There are so many out there and a lot of specialized scholarships. So as Mariah mentioned, she is obviously a woman in aerospace. That's unique. So there are most likely external scholarships out there that maybe she even applied to when she was starting at Embry-Riddle. And lastly, being involved on campus. So that takes us to the end of our presentation. We do have our contact information there. We'll leave it up for about a minute because we'll start our live Q&A. So go ahead and get your questions ready for us.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close the screen share that we were doing, and I kept getting distracted because I was answering some of the chat questions there. But go ahead and pop your questions into the Q&A. I know Ludine has been busy answering some of these for us as we have been speaking, but we will go ahead and kind of go through here. That way we can get your questions answered. As those are coming in, there were some questions about extracurricular activities and who should letters of recommendation be from. So let me just start with that question. Letters of recommendation can come from anybody. So as Megan said, we want to get to know each of you in the admissions process. So we want to see what Michael does. We want to see what Mariah does, what Megan does. We want to get to know them all in the process. We just don't want to look at a test score because a test score is just a number on a page, or a GPA is just a number. So letters of recommendation can be from anybody who is going to say something good about you, who isn't, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, preferably, and at least one of them could be an academic reference. So a math or science teacher are great options. But it could also be your English teacher. It could be your guidance counselor at school, or if you have a mentor or a coach, anybody who's going to help us get to know your unique skill set is going to help you out there. And then getting involved in extracurricular activities, that just helps show us that you're a well-rounded student. You're able to diversify yourself in different activities and different skills. So all of that is taken into consideration in the application process.
I think the next question that I see in the chat is about our acceptance rate. And Sarah, I might need a little assistance. I believe it's about 65 to 70%. Does that seem right to you?
Yes.
So we do have a pretty high acceptance rate, but we have a great group of students that apply to our institution. We have students that have known since they were in kindergarten that they want to work in space or aerospace or flight. So we really do get a strong pool of applicants. As for out of state, so we actually are a private institution. So we look at everybody kind of the same. We don't favor in-state, out-of-state students by any means, but we definitely encourage students to just go ahead and apply. It's free to apply. Our application is pretty easy. I know, Michael, Mariah, it's been a little bit since you filled it out, but it's not bad at all. I would just say go ahead and apply. And as the specific questions come up, you can definitely contact the admissions offices.
All right, there was a question I just saw. What's the difference between the two campuses? We get this question all the time. So even though I know Megan's been out to Arizona and I've been out to Florida to visit our campuses. So most of the degree programs that Embry-Riddle is known for, so our flight degree, our aerospace engineering degree program, lots of those key programs, we offer at both campuses. Now, there are some uniquenesses to our different campuses. So, for example, in our Arizona campus, we have our College of Security and Intelligence, which specializes in those global security, cybersecurity degree programs. But then our Daytona Beach campus has the aerospace physiology degree program. So there's some differences amongst degree programs amongst the campuses, besides the obvious difference of just being in two geographical locations. So still lots of opportunities to still get a great Embry-Riddle education, no matter which campus you go to. As Mariah and Michael shared with us, lots of opportunities for clubs and activities involvement, and two great locations to get your education.
We definitely encourage students to visit campus if possible as well. We are both offering campus tours right now, and you can sign up right on our website. We want it to feel like it's home for you, so it's really important that you come to campus, talk to current students, walk around. But if you can't come to campus right now, we also have virtual tours available on our website, so you can check those out.
So keep your Q&A questions coming. We've also got our chat up there. If you have a quick question, we can look at either the chat or the Q&A. Do we have social media handles? We absolutely do. And so we'll use this as a couple of different opportunities. So we are on all the social medias. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We've got a great YouTube page. I know the audio didn't come through on that video. You can find it in the link within the chat, or you can find that and so much more on our YouTube page. We've got some fantastic videos. We also, in case anybody knows of the app called Zimi, Zimi is an app where you can follow different colleges and organizations. Michael helps us out. He's on Zimi all the time with me and Megan. It's a great way to learn about Embry-Riddle, but also other colleges that you're looking at and get connected that way. So we are very much on social media. Ooh, I love this question, Jessica. Okay, so Michael and Mariah, describe a day in the life of you.
I'll let Mariah go first.
Okay, that's a really good question. Life is really busy, especially because we're seniors. Our attention is being pulled in a lot of different directions, both with school and our capstone project. So for engineering, you have a year-long capstone project that you pretty much spend all your free time plus extra on. Somehow there's more hours in a day than normal, but you still never get enough sleep or any. But that and applying to jobs just keeps you really busy. So for me, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have an 8 a.m. class, and then I go to work for a couple hours, and then I have my capstone class for a couple hours, and then a class for my minor. And then on Tuesday, Thursdays, I have 2 classes and then 2 jobs, and then Saturdays is all work. So it keeps us busy. We're always on our toes.
And then I'll go. So same thing, barely, not a lot of sleep. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I get to work 7:45 a.m. Most likely giving a tour of our campus. And then I usually get off at noon. I have class at 1 and then another class at 3. And then I usually go to the gym after just to, release some stress, relax a little bit. And then I get home, I start looking at my schedule. I see what kind of administrative things do I need to do for my fraternity, like what paperwork do I need to fill out? Is everybody, updating their committee minutes and things like that? And then I look at my schedule and see which out of my 20 assignments are due first. And then whichever one's due first, that's the one I work on. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have a little lighter schedule. That's where I get a lot of my studying in. Tuesdays, I wake up at 8 a.m. for my capstone team meeting, and that usually goes about 2.5 hours. Then I'll usually get up, either go work out or get ready for my class at 1:25, which usually always has a quiz. So I'm usually studying for that before. And then after I get off, it's the same thing, administrative fraternity stuff, homework. And then same thing on Thursday, except it's flipped. Now I have class at 8 in the morning to 10:30. And then I kind of have the rest of the day open for whatever meetings I have and all my homework and things. And that's the day in the life of Michael. I know it's not too exciting.
Megan and I right now are so happy that we graduated already and we are past those days.
Yes, for sure.
So follow-up question to that for both Mariah and Michael. How's the homework?
Of course, it's engineering, so you're gonna have homework and you're gonna have plenty of it. You also have projects too, and you'll most likely be working on a team. And it's usually always a hands-on project, whether it's like coding or actually in the lab doing work or a project and getting information. So there's always gonna be homework. There's been times where, I sat down and I was like, wow, I don't have anything to do. But I know I just lied to myself because there's always something to do. And it all depends how you organize your day and your time management skills. I just, we're seniors, me and Mariah, we have a lot on our plate right now. So usually bedtime's looking like midnight or 1. But then, as a freshman, sophomore, junior, it's all based on your time management. You're more than, if you can work it out, you could definitely be in bed by 10 o'clock every single night. So it's all up to you.
Yeah, so I would agree pretty much with what Michael said. When he said the first of 20 assignments, that's no exaggeration. Sometimes it can be really overwhelming looking at all the homework you have, but really if you just take it step by step, what's the first due date or what can I just cross off the list of things to do, then it becomes more manageable. But engineering is a lot. So I came from no STEM background at all, and I'm here. So anyone can do it. You guys can all do it if you are determined. Yeah, most classes you'll have at least one project to work on, I would say. It's kind of hard to come across a class where you're not either doing a project or you're actually in a lab building or testing something, which is really fun. I think that's why we want to do engineering. But yeah, there's lots of homework. It never ends. So you will start the semester and do homework every day until the semester ends. And then you can take a really nice breather for a while. You'll kind of wonder what it's like to have free time, or I don't know. It'll be hard to tell once you're out of classes that you were ever so busy, because now you just have time. You'll miss it.
All right, thanks guys. There was a question here. What types of experiences should seek out in high school outside of academics? So that's a really great question. I think I'll let Megan give her insight as well. I think that anything to be involved in, there's an old saying that you can tell a lot about a person by what they do when no one's looking. And I always kind of take that into consideration when we look at applications, because even if you volunteer like an hour somewhere, I think that says a lot about you as a person. Or if you are a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, or you're on the first robotics team, or you're in Civil Air Patrol, I think all of those things are great opportunities to get involved in and supplement your quote unquote resume, or supplement who you are to help us in the admissions process. So I'll let Megan add anything that she wants.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Sarah. I like to see if a student has a job as well. I think it's important to show that they can balance kind of their academic life, and then what it's going to be like when they come to college. They might have a job, and we know that they're going to have a ton of homework. They're going to be involved. So I just like to see that they have a wide variety of different things on their application for extracurriculars to show kind of that they're ready for college and that there won't be a huge shock once they get to the institution that they choose.
Let's see here. Question about international students. Do we have a lot of international students? So we have a good amount on our campuses. I would say at the Arizona campus, we probably have about 10% of our student body being international students. Megan, do you happen to know how many you have in Florida?
It's pretty similar. We definitely have more domestic students than international students, but everybody is so diverse on our campus that you really don't even notice like who's from where.
And that's, just to add on to what Megan just said there, that's kind of a uniqueness about Embry-Riddle. We spent this whole presentation talking about aviation and aerospace, and that's really kind of our thing. We always joke, once we're here on campus, we always joke that if an airplane flies over, everyone just stops and you just see people looking up, or people run towards the window. But it happens all the time, because that's kind of like our inner nerdiness. We all kind of like airplanes and aviation and aerospace here. So even though we've got diverse populations of students on campus, there's that common bond that ties our students together in making friendships and getting involved in organizations and just working together on these team projects and getting the experience together. Megan, there's a question. Are there any special internships for students at NASA, Boeing, or SpaceX?
Absolutely. So those are some of our biggest partners. They come to campus at least twice a year, most likely more. And what's really cool is it's typically an alum that comes to campus representing that company. So for me, I graduated a couple of years ago, but it's nice seeing people that I've graduated with who work for Boeing come to campus. Like, as a student, I thought it was the best day when we had NASA or Boeing or SpaceX on campus, and we were allowed to sit there, talk to them. We could ask them any questions that we had. Just any other school that you go to, you wouldn't have that opportunity. So it's really cool to see what Embry-Riddle offers and kind of the outcomes of having those companies having that hands-on experience with the students. Don't forget, guys, we still have the polls listed as well. So if you haven't filled those out, you can go ahead and answer those questions for us for something fun.
And we've got just a couple more minutes. So if you have any pressing questions for us, please go ahead and drop them into the Ask a Question or even into the chat. That way we can answer it for you. Or I know that Mariah and Michael would love more questions.
Jessica, we totally agree. We're so excited to see where they go and the fun things that they do once they graduate.
Yeah. That's
We'll
one of the unique things. Exactly. Yeah, that's one of such the unique things. You know, Megan and I mentioned we're both alum. So, I mean, I like to think we're doing really cool things with our lives, but we have friends that are doing great things. And then we see young people like Megan or like Mariah and Michael. There's so many M's here, Megan, Mariah, and Michael. We see them and we hear their ambitions and their goals, and then they come to Embry-Riddle and we actually see them achieve it. And it's such a unique opportunity, which I don't feel like some of the other, you know, not so specialized schools have the opportunity to experience. Our students come here and they do incredible, incredible things.
I did see a new question come in the chat that said, what can students do to increase their math skills in summer months? So once you're accepted at Embry-Riddle, we do require you to take some placement exams so we can best place you in classes. And one of them is a math placement exam. So we have you take it to see kind of where your skill level is, but you have the option to remediate it where you can actually learn some new skills as well. So the best thing would be just take advantage of your senior year, learn the most that you can, and just know when you come to Embry-Riddle, we're not going to place you in a class that's way above your skill level. We really want to work with you to make sure you're not taking Calc 4 when you maybe need to be in Calc 1 to start. So I would just say do the best you can. We all know that math isn't our favorite, but we definitely work with you. And when you're on campus, we have tutoring available as well.
All right, question here. Do you all recommend any high school aerospace engineering programs? So the one that comes to mind for me might be Project Lead the Way. If you have the opportunity to participate in that. Now that is kind of a curriculum-based program, so your school would need to offer those classes for you. Otherwise, kind of extracurricularly, not a lot of our students, but some of our students who are really involved in engineering and building get involved in either Team America Rocket Challenge, which is called TARC, or First Robotics is a great opportunity. Those are kind of extracurricular clubs activities where you're building and designing a rocket or a robot, that type of stuff. Mariah and Michael, what is one thing you could tell your younger high school self if you could go back? Fantastic question.
All right, I'll go first. I saw that question and I've been thinking about it a lot. I guess one thing I would tell myself, so in high school and like before, I feel like the curriculum came pretty easy to me. And like, I actually don't really, I realized this a couple months ago that I don't really know if I ever used my brain really before. Like, I just never connected the dots. I didn't know how to study or anything. And so I just kind of like floated by and did well. And then getting here, it's been such a challenge. And like I said before, I didn't really have a STEM background. My high school is just kind of a high school. Like, we barely got a robotics club that had like 5 students my senior year. So there wasn't really a lot to offer at my high school. And so I didn't really know what I was getting into at all, except that I wanted to do it. So one thing I would tell my high school self would probably be that in the future, I'm going to have a lot of moments where I'm going to feel a lot more weak than I did in high school, where I'm not going to perform as well as I did, and I'm not going to understand things as easily as I did before. But it doesn't matter, because throughout all of those areas where I've struggled, I've still been able to, like, I graduate in less than 2 months. So even though there's been a lot of like trials and hardships getting to where I am, it still is leading to a success.
For me, I would tell my past self to retain information, like, as much as possible. Because I mean, coming out of high school, like, I knew algebra, I was okay at physics, but at Riddle, like, in your later classes, you need to know algebra and know physics. And I was always the one, I was like, oh, I'm done with fluid mechanics, I'm never thinking about that again. Then comes next solids and even materials and all these other classes where you need to use your fluid mechanics pretty much the rest of your academic career. And that was probably one of my biggest mistakes, is once I was done with the class, I was done with the class. I didn't really pay too much attention to, oh, I'm going to need this later on. So that's definitely something I would tell my past self, is to pay attention and retain all this information.
You're muted, Brittany.
Brittany, yeah.
I think everyone knows that I have challenges with unmuting myself. But I wanted to say we are at time. I think this is a really good time for us to pause, and wanted to ask you all before you go, do you have any parting words to share with our audience?
I'll go first, just because I think that Mariah and Michael should be the end, because they're probably going to have some wise words of wisdoms for us. But thank you all for joining us today. We hope that you learned something new about Embry-Riddle, or at least the aviation aerospace industry. If you're interested in more information specifically about Embry-Riddle, we are doing a variety of webinars, weekly presentations. You can hop to our website to register for one of those. We would love to have you join us and answer more of your questions. So those are my wise words. I think Embry-Riddle and the aviation aerospace industry is a fantastic industry to get into. Like I said, I'm an Embry-Riddle alum. My husband's an Embry-Riddle alum. I have 2 little children. I hope they become Embry-Riddle alums and become half as awesome as Mariah and Michael there. So thank you all for joining us.
We definitely encourage you all, if you have any additional questions, don't be shy to follow up with us. We want to help you through this process. We know it's a lot transitioning from high school to college, and even the application process. So feel free, if there's anything else that we could do for you, to reach out to us directly, and I'll pass it off to Michael.
I'll go. I would say, when I give tours, parents ask me this question all the time. When you're going to college, you're leaving your family, your parents, you're pretty much on your own. You're starting a new chapter of your life. Definitely go out and do some things that you've never done before and would never think to do. Because I know I was born on the west side of Chicago. My family didn't really have much. So then when I come to this school, I joined a fraternity, and I ended up doing a lot of things that I never thought I'd do. Usually we just don't really travel too much, but then like I came here and started traveling quite a bit more. I experienced a lot of different activities I've never done before that I ended up enjoying. Definitely open up your mind and, think outside the box. Enjoy college as much as possible. Yeah, we have a lot of homework and things too, but one thing we definitely know how to do is we know how to relax. So definitely go outside of your comfort zone, experience some new things, and don't get too stressed.
And I'll go ahead and finish up. I think it's a really cool opportunity to be able to study something that you love in such an environment that is so set for that. Coming here to Embry-Riddle, like it is so focused on aviation and aeronautics, and it really just helps you feed that passion. So if you do have that desire to study that, or to become an astronaut, or to build or design planes, or to become a pilot, whatever it is, stick with it and just be determined. Don't let little things keep you from that end goal. I came from a huge family, and so thinking about coming to Embry-Riddle, where I knew I was going to have to pay for college on my own, was like, okay, I'm going to apply, but it's never going to happen. I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to be able to go to school for 4 years there. But it's worked out. And that's something I could never have told you in a million years it would have worked out. And so there's a lot of people on campus that make sure that dream can become a reality. But really, it all comes back to your determination and how much you're willing to put forth to get that degree. So yeah, definitely go for reach for the stars, and be kind to yourselves and let yourselves achieve the potential that you have. Yeah.
That was beautifully said. Reach for the stars. And I wanted to thank the Embry-Riddle team. I just wanted to let everyone know we have been working on this PowerPoint presentation and today's talking points for over a month now, and it's really nice to see it come to fruition. But I want everyone who is still with us to understand that this is your extended family. We are invested in your success, in your growth, and you have the potential to really reach for those stars and to really see your dreams come true. And so with that being said, thank you all so much for your time. Before you head out, Embry-Riddle included a post survey at the bottom below, titled Complete Survey. If you could do a favor, it just only takes 2 minutes, and tell them what you thought about today's presentation. And I wanted to thank everyone so much. This is it for our October 2020 virtual college block party. We thank all of our presenters for their time and their expertise. And we give you all a round of applause, not only just to our presenters, but for you showing up today. And investing in your future and informing yourself and staying informed about your opportunities and options. So please look out for the recording and PowerPoint presentations in your email inbox. Give us about 24 hours and join us next time. If you would like to stay in the loop with any other upcoming events, virtual events that we're having, please visit capex.com/greenlight-student. If you do not already have your college or your CapEx account, you can get started building your college list, exploring college options, and finding scholarships. So thank you on behalf of College Greenlight and CapEx. We hope you all have an amazing October, and please be safe. We wish you good health and a sound mind, especially to Mariah and Michael as you guys juggle your courses. And thank you so much, team. College Greenlight signing off. Take care.